What started as a wonderful pitching matchup on a Sunday afternoon ended in victory for Cleveland and a sloppy defensive performance by the Blue Jays. Joe, what do you think?
Two excellent starting pitchers going at it in Gausman and Bieber, but Kevin Gausman did not have much help behind him in this ball game, and he's had a lot of bad luck behind him throughout the course of this season. But you're giving teams extra outs. We usually talk about the high-powered teams. Now we're talking about Cleveland, but this offense really impressed me over the course of the weekend against the Blue Jays. They put the ball in play a lot. Alejandro Kirk had a rough day behind the plate, not throwing the baseball very well at all, but it's a speedy team. This one here, Kevin Biggio coming from way over in the right center gap, had a long ways to go, but probably didn't account for all of the slice that's going to be coming off the bat of a right-handed hitter. There's a ball that gets past Kirk again. You give up 90 feet to these Cleveland base runners, they can run, and their offense puts balls in play. This is a contact-type offense, and they just continue to hurt you. This is a little miscommunication in the middle of the infield. Bo Bichette with the day off. Santiago Espinal at shortstop. A little miscommunication. Who's covering the bag? It was not a day at all to write home about defensively. And Kevin Gausman, of course, was the one that probably suffered the most.
That he did. And here come the Baltimore Orioles once again. You're going to see them regularly until the end of the regular season. And on Monday night, Yusei Kikuchi will start a 3-game series. Blue Jays Central coming your way. 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. We hope to see you then.
We all know how good and how much talent is in that clubhouse. So, we never feel like we're out of it. Obviously, we're not playing our best baseball right now, but we got the Orioles coming in. It's a new series, and so you got to be able to just turn the page and realize that you can't dwell too much on it, especially this time of year. We've put ourselves in a good spot now. We just got to kind of keep our head down and really just kind of focus on ourselves, not really focus too much on what's going on around the league.
Pleased as always to be joined now for our weekly edition of Blue Jays Takeaways with Ben Wagner. Ben, a troubling week for the team, losing both games in Baltimore and 2 of 3 to the Guardians at home. What's the issue?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I know the Blue Jays are desperately trying to figure it out because it looked like the offense was finally coming around. You started to see the production from Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Teoscar Hernandez, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has basically hit the entire month in some capacity. And you started to see complementary pieces jump in here, like Danny Jansen and Alejandro Kirk. But some guys have also tapered off. But the big thing for me, coming away from Baltimore, coming out of the series against the Guardians, is the fact that the Blue Jays have faced some really good pitching. Guys that don't nibble around and fall behind. The fact that the pitchers are the ones out there doing the attack, and that was on display in all 3 games against Cleveland. Cal Quantrill was outstanding attacking the Blue Jays, shutting them out on Friday night. Tristan McKenzie has done this song and dance before against the Blue Jays. Seems like his best work is always against Toronto. And then we saw it again from Shane Bieber in a matchup of aces with Kevin Gausman and Shane Bieber on Sunday afternoon. It was another quiet day in the Blue Jays. While opportunities, Bieber made pitches when he could, and that's the overall theme right now for who the Blue Jays are playing. Quality pitching, big pitches when it's necessary, and no big rallies from the Blue Jay bats.
You did mention Vladdy, though, one bat that still seems to be hot, although the 22-game hit streak comes to a close on Sunday. Are you, though, starting to see signs of last year's Vladdy Jr.?
Now, I wouldn't say last year's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is there. The hit streak is nice. 22 consecutive games. Remember, he hit in basically every ball game in the entire month in July as well. It's a nice hit streak for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but it's a hit streak that was full of a lot of singles as well. And Vladdy's timing, he is so talented, but the timing is still off for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. A good hit streak for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. like this would be driving the baseball into the alley. You would see more home run production. I don't want to get hung up on the overall home run ball for Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but he was not driving the baseball all over the ballpark like we have seen the best Vladimir Guerrero Jr. do. 22 consecutive games with a hit, that's impressive. I understand that, but Vladdy's approach over the course of those 22 games was interesting because a lot of times he was collecting singles, and a lot of those singles were going the opposite way. He's a tremendous talent right in the middle of the Blue Jays lineup. You want to have his at-bat, those threats coming up later in ball games, but this is still not 2021 Vladimir Guerrero Jr. The MVP caliber Vladdy is still in there, and he might be coming around in the month of September when the Blue Jays are going to need him the most.
All right, well, finally, we got about a month and a half remaining before the postseason. The Jays, of course, still holding on to a wild card spot. But what do they need to improve upon between now and October if they're going to be a threat in the postseason?
To be a threat in the playoffs, you need to have solid starting pitching. And right now, the Blue Jays have too many question marks in the rotation right now. Outside Kevin Gausman, who is leading this staff, outside the workhorse that Alek Manoah has been, those are the two guys that you can count on every fifth day. And that's why they're going to need to pitch as much as possible to get the Blue Jays through the month of August and then to those biggest ball games in the month of September. But what the Blue Jays have not had is consistency from Jose Barrios. He's given the Blue Jays a number of very good starts. Not going to discount that, but we have seen a very, very rocky at time Jose Barrios. They've got nothing from Yusei Kikuchi. Those are two massive holes in the rotation. And then you have Ross Stripling jumping back in here at the tail end of the Orioles series. That's going to be an interesting maneuver for the Blue Jays on how they utilize Ross Stripling and Mitch White. Can they round out the rotation to survive over the last 7 weeks of the regular season, kind of piecemealing the back end of the rotation, relying on Alek Manoah and relying on Kevin Gausman to get through? Because there are certainly some significant holes. But for the Blue Jays to get through the last 7 weeks of the regular season, they have to get solid starting pitching, because everything is built off of what the Blue Jays starters are going to be able to provide them. And we know how taxed that bullpen is when the starting pitching does not provide the depth. Everything will work better for the Blue Jays if they can find a 1 through 5, get it rolling, and get quality innings out of that rotation.
Definitely some work to be done, but Ben, let's talk again next week.
That sounds great. It's going to be a fun one.